Hey, and what button?
But don't do this again every time. What button? Are we going? Are we live? What? What's going on? Yeah, we're live. Ba-da-ba-da-boom, ba-boom, boom. All right, hey guys, welcome to Sunday Live. Yay! We're live at 5. I love how that rhymes. It's not 5 for you, so
Live at 10,
We're
which
yen.
also works.
We're yen
The
at
evening
10.
news. Yeah, it's true.
We're then at 10.
Yes.
There you go.
So it's funny to be going through these so quickly. This was like, one a week, so many months, and it's like just barrels through them. It's a whole different way of watching it, actually.
Oh, for sure.
And amazingly, I really wanted to, but I had literally no minutes spare today because I just finished watching it. I could have clicked to the next episode and skipped that 3-month wait and just gone, bleep, part 2! Didn't do it, damn time. But I could have, Stuart. We now have the magic. Well, I will say,
it would be part 3 or part 1. It'd be the part 3 of this.
Who even cares?
Or part 9? No.
No, it's episode 10. Yeah.
This episode 9.
I mean, the next one would have been part.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was watching the Blu-ray, and now I've gone through a couple of discs, and there's no episode commentaries.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Are you
I bought
disappointed?
it for. Oh yeah, I bought it for these features, and all the documentary stuff that I've watched is very clinical, and almost all of it exclusively looks at the first 2 episodes, which is not representative of the entire show at all, and you can tell they made them ages ago. And there's an interview where they actually use separate footage of the people that were filming in season 2, and they're on a crappy green screen, poor sound, and it's like, oh, that's suddenly lower. And there's only one bit of one of the featurettes so far I've watched, which isn't a lot, but at least 3. And then it suddenly references something afterward, and it's like, wow, they really put all their money in one thing. And after the shake-up, they said, we're not going to talk about just. It's a happy family for episodes 1 and 2 and sort of 3. Let's talk about that stuff. It's amazing, and you can tell they don't do episode commentaries because they did. The cast might say things that they want to cut out. An episode commentary, if you cut stuff out, there's just silence. And you can't really do that for episode commentary because you notice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really? They weren't talking during half of the episode? That seems weird to me. It feels like edited. So I'm really disappointed by the stuff because, like, when I do Convergence, it's going to be jam-packed with special features. Like,
Well, I'm sorry that you're disappointed.
well, the quality of the video is brilliant. Like, it's really fun to see them on, like, upscaled 4K TV, good sound. Like, they look great, and the VFX I can see without any compression, it looks nicer. That's just the crispness, Yeah.
Sweet. Well, hi guys, welcome. We've got a few people here. I think
Hi, guys.
Samuel's going to share this around while I chat with y'all.
You'll vamp. I'll share.
Nathan says, so wasn't this episode where they plant glowing bombs on that Klingon ship, then announce their countdown in English? They're not glowing bombs. They're glowing sensors. But yes, I'm ready for the new season, says Traveling with Charles. As are we. I am actually excited to see what they do. I mean, it could go anywhere from this point. We have the introduction of the Enterprise and Pike and Spock and Number One. So here's hoping it's good. But I remember going into season 1 saying the same thing, and each episode going, maybe it's going to get better. Maybe it's going to get better. And some of them do shine a little bit in the blackness of space. There's a little twinkle there. But some of them just are obscured by the...
Is it a twinkle in the forest?
Right? Because into the forest I go. Don't you know? That's the name of this episode. That's clever. Ian Warrender puts in £5. Thank you very much, Ian. 5 lives in 1 week. Is that a new Trekyards record? Unfortunately, my commitment isn't quite up there. I have work to prepare, but I'll catch this later. Well, thank you for showing up, Ian, and for super chatting. It's much appreciated, and the super chats are helpful. So, Ian...
Well, they're essential.
Well, yes.
With Christmas coming along.
Yes. Ian, thank you very much for coming in and just dropping in something in the super chat. Even if you're just going to watch later, that's amazing. So thank you very much. Rust Knuckle Iron Gut says it's time for the Distance episode where they make it seem like 3 hours at warp 5 is a long way away. Yes.
Now, I do want to ask briefly the audience that we've got so far, how many actually rewatched this episode going in? We don't tend to ask that, but there is a sense of journey with these. how many actually took the effort to actually watch it? So
I know
it's
Jill
very fresh
did.
in their mind.
I'll bet you Jill
Yes,
did.
always does. So there's a difference between talking it with it. Like I wouldn't have remembered everything a year on, but if you just watched it today in preparation,
Yeah.
there's so many things to talk about in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan Norman says, I'm going to give them a fair shake because Star Trek deserves one last chance. Well, yes, it does, but I don't say this is the last chance by any means. We got the Picard series coming up. We got Lower Decks coming up. We got the SETI Alpha 5 mini-series thing coming up.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Well, no, Nicholas Meyer just got interviewed by Midnight's Edge, where he had...
Well, he said he's heard nothing about it for like several months, which means it's not in pre-production, which means it's stalled, which means it's been in production for a year and a half, and it hasn't heard anything for 6 months. It's not in production right now. It's in back burner of maybe one day. So
anyway,
not active production. That's an important clarification there.
Yes, but there are more things coming from Star Trek, so this isn't like its last chance to redeem itself by any means. There's still going to be a lot more.
Hey, go play Stowe. They've been last chancing constantly, successfully for the last 8 years.
Yeah. Rewatch chats are my favorite thing ever, says Jill, and she of course rewatched. She always does. She says yes. What do you guys think about the new show going to be surrounded around Picard? We've talked about that before. We have, again, very hopeful. But Thomas Potts puts in $1.99 and says Foley is a Cylon, and he wants... I don't know what that's about. He wants animation number 20, so I'm going to play that while you're doing your thing. Here comes animation 20. I need to get a Stream Deck. Maybe I'll get one for Christmas. I did ask for one. So there is animation 20, and that is the USS Venture flyby. So... And why am I a Cylon, Thomas? That's not very nice. Alright, so we got 49 people. I'm going to assume you're almost done sharing. Okay. I rewatched enough to redo my warp calculations that told me that 3 hours at warp 5 is just 18 times the diameter of our solar system. Wow. That's interesting.
Wow.
Due to the legal rights splits between CBS and Paramount, my hope is that anything other than Kelvin lens flare is slim at best. Bird of Prey 5. Birdo Prey 5. You guys should go check out his channel as well. I hope number 17 isn't disappointing. Well, let's see what number 17 is. I'll play it for you. There you go. Oh, he likes the Bird of Prey. That's his name. It's a channel name. Birdo Prey 5.
Yeah, I would like the ones I remastered for the Bird of Prey. It's like, ooh, up in those resolutions. It's all the difference.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So there you go.
First time in high def those have been together, because the first one I did was SD.
Yes.
Still mess up the lens flares, but it's because the model's a little bit broken.
So Bird of Prey said nice, so that's good. All right, guys. Go hit the like button while you're watching this. That just very much helps out. And we're going to get right into it. So today, we are talking about Episode 9, Into the Forest I Go, as we've already kind of said. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, the first thing we see in this episode, I love. That shot of the Discovery in orbit, beautiful.
It's actually a Star Trek shot.
It is beautiful as well. And it's pretty long, too. I almost felt like there should have been like a captain's log over top of it. Because it's a nice, it's not a quick shot. So, yeah.
But I have a question for you for an overall sense of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a vague overview of what you thought of the episode. Like, an absolute vague... Because I have a vague overview I want to say, so I want to hear yours first, and I can jump in mine. Having now rewatched it.
Well, rewatching it with the knowledge we have is very interesting. But overall, it's not a bad episode, standalone. It just doesn't tie in with the first one. The Pavonians, whatever they are completely forgotten about. And it's ironic, because with the title Into the Forest I Go, you think they could have gone down to the planet, back into the forest, for something.
And disclaimer, we know the whole episode about saving Pavo, but it really isn't. That's lip service, you know.
Yeah.
This episode, for me, is both actually pretty damn good, and also pretty damn horrible. It's both at the same time.
Discovery doing things like that for a while.
But this one is especially so. I like most of the episode, but the episode itself is broken, thoroughly broken in terms of plot and story. It's just broken, but it's done really well. It's just completely broken, which means it can't be a good episode because it doesn't work. And again, you can see there, oops, we have to rewrite the first half of the season to get here. How do we do it? Let's do this. Yeah, that works. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Yeah. So it was really fun to watch, but broken.
The Pavins, Joel says.
Some of didn't notice some of the stuff first time round because sometimes it's blatant, but when you know everything, you kind of see things differently.
I've got more notes for this one than I did for the last few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, knowing what we know, that they go to the Mirror Universe and Lorca's from there. This first scene where he's talking to the Admiral and he's like, "We're staying to protect the Pavins, whatever they're called," seems kind of out of character for him. And again, if they knew they were going to the Mirror Universe next episode, a lot of what he does in this episode, taken out of that context, really doesn't say Mirror Lorca at all.
Well, the interesting thing is that this episode, Lorca's plan is not the Mirror Universe with this episode. Only in the last few moments does he turn into, shit, now's my last chance. So the entire episode, he's actually trying to do the job he's saying he's doing, and then suddenly it swaps. So what is his larger plan? It's nothing to do with this episode, nothing to do with this plan.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the sarcophagus plan until the end. He was happy to wait to do it over the course of the war. And so he's just being... I think the actors said, right, we're going to make you very nice this episode so people don't think.
Yeah.
Give you more context as it gets darker as it goes. But maybe people... He was more suspicious at the start. They rewrote it, they ignored it, and then they got back onto it so that you wouldn't think he was, even though that would have been important in this episode, probably.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said what you said, because at the end, his hand is really forced as to what he has to do. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
But I thought that was really interesting. This episode changes on a dime. He was going to go home. He was going to take it back. He was going to see what was going to happen next. And also, the calculations was a new thing that wasn't originally in his plan. It couldn't be. He was just there to save the Poens. That was the plan. There was nothing else. Mirror. So it was. And
then with the whole doing the 133 jumps, that's another thing to get what he needs quickly.
But that wasn't his plan until someone suggested it.
Right. Yeah.
It's really interesting. He didn't have a larger plan. He was just biding his time.
Yeah.
That's, I think, why the Mirror Universe stuff feels more rushed, because there isn't. He hasn't carefully gone back home with a plan. Everyone's he's rushed.
Yeah.
It actually works, actually.
Yeah. So he's basically forced to go to, ordered to go to Starbase 46, and then he's on the bridge saying, all right, Warp 5, whatever, it's going to take 3 hours. Just go to Warp instead of spore jumping there, because why aren't we spore jumping? Why aren't we spore jumping, sir? Well, we might as well look like we're obeying orders while we're not. So I kind of like that. That's very Federation captain-y of him. Yeah, so it's something Kirk would do for sure.
But I think harder to explain. Like, it'll make his medal later on be a bit like, yeah. Now this is where one of in this initial speech, I think they forget a few things in this initial speech, because they say they're moving all Federation ships behind Federation lines, right? Which it tells you there's Federation ships attacking Klingon ships in Klingon space. That's what it's telling you from that. That there are active engagings in Klingon space. So we're now doing both sides, because the Klingons have come to our space multiple times. We're now actually attacking, but they're coming back, which implies Pavo is not in Federation space, because they say come back to Earth, get behind lines. But there's a map we see, the second half, it is well in Federation space. So they're saying, so why isn't there a fleet coming to Pavo? Because they are behind enemy lines. And why is the sarcophagus ship allowed to go into Federation space in enemy lines, in our lines? They imply it's not in Federation space, and then we do see it's in Federation space. It's like, why does... What do you think?
I don't know what to think about that, because I never really considered that. pull our ships back behind our lines. I just assumed there was some sort of neutral zone or buffer between.
There isn't. If you look at the
I know that's what I assumed though, and then as you said that, I'm like, wait a minute, not yet.
So ships should be going to Pava if it's that important, and we know a Klingon ship's on the
Yeah.
way. It's like, and the only reason Sarcophagus Ship won Battle of the Binary Star is because guess what? They had 30 other ships.
Yeah.
It didn't win by itself. It didn't do anything by itself. It didn't even damage. It didn't destroy Shinjo. It fired one torpedo, then didn't do anything after the battle.
Oh, Joseph throws in €2. Hi, Trekyards.
Hey.
Warp to Spore Jump was awesome. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. And animation number 11. So there we go.
Like I say, that initial spewing of information was really, again, they've written themselves into a corner. Second, how does Lorca know the Sarcophagus Ship can destroy a planet? You've seen it once, and it got destroyed. Well, one torpedo took out its neck, and it didn't destroy the fleet. How are you saying it can destroy a planet? It's not anything special. It's just bigger. Any ship can destroy a planet if you shoot enough, and how they know it doesn't. You know what I mean? They're saying as if the Sarcophagus Ship has been this big warship. No, it was lost for most of the war, and then it came back and then it shared its cloaking technology, and then, as far as we know, it didn't do anything. Didn't you think that was a bit weird? Like bigging it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, sorry, I've got this is a very dense sentence. Sorry. And they said, "Oh, we've now got our scientists newly working on an invisibility screen. So why have you set them doing it now? Why not a week ago? Why only now?" Okay, that's interesting. Why isn't it called invisibility screen here? Cloaking device at every other point in the episode on both sides. Why do they keep swapping terms? It's a damn cloaking device, and the scriptwriters keep forgetting because you can't say we're going to de-screen. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll call it invisibility screen, but you can't use that as a verb to describe decloaking. So we'll just say cloak the rest of the time. It's like it's not a cloaking device.
Yeah.
You can't use that. But literally everyone else uses cloaking device the entire episode except this one line.
Yeah.
And I just wrote hate real-time holograms.
Yes.
I think that's the end of that bit. Saru mentions cloaking devices in that scene. Straight after. Cloaking device.
And Adam Boots puts in scientists naming versus the layman naming.
Yes, but if the important thing is to make the audience understand it's not the cloaking device from the show, stop calling it the show device, otherwise it's just the same device. Especially since we see on the diagram it works the same way as the cloaking device. So it's not different. Stop saying it's different. It's not, clearly.
Yeah.
I don't think the Admiral's going to be science naming it, and Saru isn't. So if Saru's a scientist, he's going to be called a cloaking device, which means it's a cloaking device. The Admiral's not then layman. He's the layman.
Yeah.
Again, sorry. See? They didn't not consistent. I think I'm going to make a video edit now, going from cutting every time I say invisibility screen, and then cutting every time I say cloaking device, and see how long they are. It'd be like an intercut of 5 invisibility screens, like 120 cloaking devices, and just cutting a Martok saying cloaking device, and then Saru saying cloaking device, cloaking device, cloaking device, cloaking device. It's like, it's a cloaking device. Pisses me off when they. It's not a cloaking device, Stuart, because we're not ruining canon. Then write your scripts consistently, please. It just sticks out, you know.
Don't give me heck for it.
It's fine if they don't care, but they inconsistent and they're trying to, yeah.
Anyway, let's move on so you don't get so flustered. Stamets. This next scene is great because he's trying to stall and buy time, and he's like, Lorca says, I want a full medical on you. I want the doctor to look at everything because we need a data trail. Because Stamets says, yeah, these are kind of itchy. You know, it's kind of like the whole, Mr. Scott, what's wrong with the warp drive? There's nothing wrong with the bloody thing. Could take weeks, sir. It's the exact same scene, and I love the way this was played. Again, Lorca seems very Federation captain-y here. And then Stamets, of course, at the end of this scene gets very concerned because once he has to get the full workup done, he knows that he was going to find the problems he's been encountering. So it's a quick turnaround scene.
This is what I mean about this episode. Almost all the scenes are good. Almost all the dialogue is good. Almost all the acting is good. But the plot is broken. like, you're right, great moments, but it's broken. It doesn't. It's just second draft it, please.
And Jill is right. These uniforms are not flattering in profile for anybody. I've noticed that myself. For Saru, they are, because Saru's like a beanpole. But
that's funny, actually. I hadn't seen that. Yeah.
And yeah, for Tilly, very much so. But that's okay. Yeah, I have down written here imperfections in the cloak, where they're talking about there are imperfections in the cloak. We just need to be able to track them, and the only way to do that is to beam over and put on 2 sensors on the ship to detect.
Also, no, cloak, non-visibility screen.
We're not going to talk about that anymore. Okay. 2 sensors to detect issues with the cloak need to be planted on board the ship, and this brings out this whole plan. With the 133 micro jumps that are required once the ship is cloaked to be able to, which is interesting. So,
it's a great. I mean, it's a fun way of hyper sciencing something that could never be done in any other show. This is a unique solution to a specific problem, but I mean, they've got a window. We know cloaking devices in the future you can see them. What's that shimmer? The ship is as big as a city. What's that?
Well, this is a perfect cloak, apparently.
Well, it's not, but it's not. There's got imperfections. It must be even less advanced. And they've got a window.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I was just joking. Let's stop talking about the cloak. Jesus.
It's the biggest part of this episode. What do you mean? It's the core of this episode. Stop with the cloaking device. That is the point of this episode. And it's broken. I've got so much more to talk about.
Anyway, so Hugh finds some issues with the brain, Stamets' brain, and Lorca comes down and Stamets need to talk to you, pulls him aside into the ready room and gives him a little bit of a pep talk. It's trying to talk Stamets into kind of agreeing to do this because Stamets is very hesitant, and now that he's got Hugh worried, he doesn't want to upset Hugh, I think. So, yeah, this is a great little pep talk from him, Lorca, saying, you know what, you signed on to this. You signed on to this to be an explorer. If you were a scientist, you would just be at a starbase doing your thing. You came out here to explore. We have these avenues open to us now where if we do these, we can have parallel dimensions and all this. And, of course, that piques Stamets' interest because he's seen the mycelial network. He knows what it's about. And it's just a very interesting scene. And I love the hologram, by the way. The way he's, like, flicking it. And that's awesome.
This is legitimately a well-written episode.
Yeah.
It just needed a proof check of a Star Trek fan who could just, you know, every time you say cloak, change it. Every time you say, you just literally spell check, replace. I wrote, Lorca is being extra nice because he is confident to get home. Like, he's really nice and really commanding, really starful in this episode. He's great. He's very... They didn't direct him consistently.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Because you imagine the shitty guy he was, because it's not like the Mirror Universe. Like the way you become a captain isn't by skill of training; it's by murdering the guy ahead of you, by finding their weakness. So he didn't become a captain on a Baran by training for decades, learning. He did bad things to do bad things. He probably got there young, well, not necessarily young, because he's the same age as Lorca, but you know. So now he's being his officer. But he plays it so perfectly, which is quite interesting because he's not this good an officer. He's a barbarian who's keeping it so underwhelmed. That's why this, I think, acting is a little bit too, like he needed to manipulate. It's a very pleasant manipulation. It should have been Stamets, and you know, and I'm a war guy, Stamets. I want to give you command Discovery, you know, or do more to like manipulate it. So gentle and you know, where's the Lorca who tries to scam Burnham via the intercom in a couple of episodes? You know, they're not the same character. I think they didn't. You know what? What if the director of this episode didn't know his Mirror Universe?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, that would fit so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, great scene. Stamets is brilliant. He's at a good place right now. He's not dickish, but he's not too happy. He's a good medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the next scene is great because they're talking about beaming aboard the ship, and how the Klingon bridge is about 4 times roughly the size of a Federation bridge.
Can I get the scale charts?
Sure. And while you're doing that, so they got to beam aboard, put one on the bridge and one near the bridge, one of these sensors. Lorca doesn't want Burnham to go, even though
Very
she's been over there on that ship, so it makes sense for her to go. And yeah, he's very adamant that she doesn't go. And then he reluctantly ends up agreeing to it. So it almost seems like he didn't expect this plan to work, or whoever's going over there is going to die.
That's true.
So, and then he sends Ash, and well, he doesn't know that Tyler is a Klingon, so whatever. But it just seems odd to send somebody that has been tortured by the Klingons over back to a ship that. Anyway.
Okay, so the sarcophagus ship is 2,550 meters, right?
Sure.
Big ship. Not as big as the Dominion battleship, I think, but it's big.
Mm-hmm.
The longest ship in the Federation fleet is Discovery at 750 meters, right? Which is 3.4 times the size of the entire ship. So, no ship in our fleet is... The biggest ship in Starfleet is 4 times as big as the bridge, and yet Discovery is a sarcophagus ship. They didn't know the size of their own ships. Now, if it was canon...
Hold on, you said feet and then meters.
No, I said meters both.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So, like I said, Discovery is just about a fourth the size of the sarcophagus ship in length. Now, yes, nacelles are huge, but fourth size of the entire ship, not the bridge.
Yeah.
The bridge is only a very small part, so they don't know the size of the ship. Now, if it was prime, and the ship's like 200 meters, then he actually would be about that, but they don't know the size of the ship.
Well, they said the size of the internal volume is 4 times bigger for that bridge than the size
Than any
of...
Starfleet ship.
Than any Starfleet ship's bridge. Yeah.
I heard ship.
No. No, they were
Did I miss
talking...
one word?
Yeah, they were talking about the bridge sizes.
See, I thought I was saying that, and I didn't hear the word bridge.
Because I have
like,
4 times the size of any Federation bridge, which is what they said.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I guess because I was waiting for it, I missed it. Okay.
Yeah. You were probably writing.
It's,
sometimes I find I'm writing and I miss something.
probably. But no, I do agree. Why are you sending Tyler? I mean, he did have PTSD in it. Although there's no reason to think Lorel will be on the ship, and they'd find her in the one room. So, I mean, if that was a one trigger, bit of a coincidence in and of itself. And Burnham, she was on the bridge for about 10 minutes max.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like relatively in real time, so probably under 5, probably under 3. She didn't get a sense of the room because, she's fighting and stuff, so she's not that well equipped. And if you actually watch later on the episode, she uses a map the entire time. So sending her was pretty ineffectual. I said, wouldn't it make more sense to have Saru and Burnham? Saru can sense danger. And guess what? A Klingon whose gun is default set to disintegrate is the coming of death.
Yeah.
So he would detect that. That's a good pairing. And he's also... Do you remember how fast he is, Stuart?
Mm-hmm. He's pretty
really,
quick.
really fast.
Yeah.
So that is a better pairing. But if we didn't have Tyler, we wouldn't get Lorel. We wouldn't get Lorel on the ship. So it was a plot thing again.
Yes, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the next scene is down in engineering. Hugh is...
Well, spore control
yes.
thingy.
Hugh is expressing his concerns about doing this because 133 jumps in rapid succession is going to be very taxing. And then Tilly opens her mouth. Oh, I'm glad you said something to him about your symptoms.
Yeah.
And I love the look on Stanwick's face, like, shut the hell up.
Yep.
And then Tilly's like, oh, damn. Easy enough misunderstanding, but it was pretty well done, that scene. I did enjoy that, so.
It was adorable.
Yeah, and then the scene, he just gives it the stank eye afterwards, like, we're going to have words when we're done. Just without saying it.
I feel like who wrote this episode is normally a writer of, like, not necessarily sitcoms, but, like, dramas with characters. Like, it's just a character show. Like, not a crime drama, not a sci-fi, just people. The people are really well written. The science is god-awful. But the people, like you said, that moment is one of the best Tilly moments of the entire bit. And it's just so, and it's not forced. It doesn't even really come into play beyond the Hugh saying, "It doesn't matter right now. I trust you. I still trust you." That's an important character statement, even though really it doesn't play any part because they don't talk about side effects later. You know what I mean? We know. He didn't have to know, so it's a pure character moment. So it was really good. Until he's great. It doesn't do much this episode. That's kind of her moment, but
yeah. And the next scene is great. Back on the bridge, Lorca's giving his pep talk to the crew, and again, I love Lorca's style. I love the way he's written.
Prime Lorca, as we're seeing today.
Well, yeah, I love any of Lorca. I don't care what he's doing. I think he's fantastic. But yeah, we've turned this crew of polite scientists into fearless warriors. That was a little hint of the Mirror Lorca there. No other ship in the fleet can do what this crew is capable of. It was such a great speech, and it was a good pep talk for the crew before going into this. So,
although I've got two things. One, and these are my actual notes. At the time, I wrote "Yay Tilly," and "Warrior made warriors bad thing." Like you wouldn't be proud of that. People were ashamed in DS9 of the war they were doing and the lives they were killing. That just says how much it's manipulated them to be proud of being said.
But if you're going into battle, you don't want to say, "Hey, you're a good bunch of scientists, but you're piss poor warriors. So let's do this thing." No, you want to pump them up for the right thing, and every captain will tell you that it's important what speech you give and when you give it. So I think it was perfect. But it was a subtle little thing, to turn a bunch of polite scientists into fearless warriors was great.
I just think it goes against the Federation, and they should be thinking that, especially Tilly and the cadets and the people who just come out of the academy. It's like, here they are learning all these nice things, and they're saying, "And now, cadet, you're a fierce warrior." Huh? You know what I mean? It just shows how far they've come. Yes. Oh, and why do they think killing the sarcophagus ship would end the war? It was out of the war for 6 months. It's not at all relevant to the war.
If they get the secret of the cloak is why they'll be able to win the war. That's what they're thinking. Has nothing to do with the sarcophagus ship.
Yeah. Well, they say, if we destroy it, that's the quote. But I suppose, yes.
Yeah, if we can destroy it, we obviously see through the cloak because we learned what we needed to learn, and then we can destroy it, and then we can get the rest of the ships taken care of. So
signal's gone a bit meh. Am I okay? Am I okay still?
Yeah, you're crisp and clear. Says the stream is continuing. It says it's good now on my end, so.
You're absolutely awful on my end, which is rare, but that's okay. Okay, now this bit double confuses me, because they say, "Sir, we're detecting sarcophagus ship or energy reading, long-range sensors entering the Parvo system." So you're detecting a ship that's cloaked 3 hours away from your position.
Yeah, well,
while you're at war.
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean? If you can detect a ship that's cloaked 3 hours away at warp 5, you can detect cloaked ships. Not necessarily to fight, as we saw last episode, you can't shoot them, but you can't do sneak attacks, because guess what? You detected the ship that suicide bombed you. Like, you saw it. This redundancies the entire point of the cloak. It's like, oh look, and they say later on, we'll detect more cloaked ships coming to Parvo. It's like, if you can detect they're coming, they're not useful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, they didn't think about what they're saying. If they just said, we guesstimate that we have 3 hours until they might be there from an unknown. I mean, they don't know how they would know where they were. But
or if they came in not cloaked and then cloaked. Yeah.
Yeah, arrogance, that's fine.
Yeah.
But what stupidity is that? If you can do that,
I know.
The war is over. It's just, hate that so much. Like I say, it's brilliant at stuff it's brilliant at, and it's absolutely destroyed itself with the stuff it's bad at.
So yeah, they detect the signature of a cloaked vessel, but whatever. Anyway, at warp, as you said, and then this is really cool. They spore jump while at warp. I thought that was a really cool effect. And boom, they're in orbit of Pavo. That's a great shot, by the way. Great wallpaper.
Yes. Don't know if it makes sense to spore drive while in an artificial pocket of subspace.
Well, it's the Minnesota network. It exists everywhere, so it doesn't matter.
It would have been nice. It just would have been anything cool to have warped out really coolly at camera and then jumped. Like, otherwise it becomes even more of a god thing. You know? I don't know.
So yeah, I wrote good space scenes in this episode, and there are quite a few other ones as well during the battle. So
you can tell they've got the message, the visual effects team, to brighten things up, add more color, like worthwhile color. You can tell they've, yeah.
And then the shot of they've appeared in orbit above Pavo, and you see the Discovery right outside the window, like they're close to Discovery. And then the war will be ours, and then the decloaking effect the decloaking effect shows it looks very, very, very primitive because of how long it takes and how it kind of it doesn't look like an advanced cloak necessarily. So I just wrote that down for some reason, that it looks like a very primitive style cloak.
Well, it's not a cloaking device, that's why. It's an invisibility screen. But my question there, though, Stuart, is why aren't they opening fire while the ship's decloaking? They have a good 7 seconds of no shields, and we know that one torpedo can disable the ship as long as it's in the net for 6 months. So why aren't they just shooting the hell out of it?
Because they need
a problem throughout.
They need it to be able to cloak later. They need to get their people on board during this decloaking. They need to plant the sensors.
Yes,
then they need to have it cloak so they can do their...
But if they had just disabled the ship first whilst decloaking, and then go on board, and then take a cloaking device themselves, and then use that, could be even better. Because I mean, at 133 jump is slightly riskier than shooting during the 10 seconds it cloaks, disabling the ship, which we know is very easy, killing the crew by, just because all they have to do is disable the shields, which they haven't got any. We'll disable warp engines first, disable the bridge, beam aboard the cloak, where the cloak is, and take it out, and boom, you've got a cloaking device. Now you've got a spore cloaking ship, which you can detect from systems.
Not as exciting.
It's just a really long decloak. We know how invisibility screen is like. Just shoot it. Just please, just fire torpedoes. It hasn't got shields.
Well, they do start shooting at it right away. They just say, and he says, "Be careful because we got people over there."
Cloak. We see the cloak. Shoot. Then this entire shot is a like, if they have time to because think about it, one ship decloaks, turns on shields. The other ship turns off shields, beams, and neither do anything. It's like, come on, guys. And they start shooting with pew pews. Pew.
So they beam aboard. They have their life signs masked as Klingon life signs because they got the little sensors on the front of them, which cool, I guess. And I love the GPS tracking thing on the tricorder, little map of the ship, the corridor which to go down, and then these big glowing sensors that in a dark room glow blue and are loud. Very odd, very odd.
And I will note that the whole "don't destroy it first" is because Lorca now wants to do the cloaking thing to get home. Like, obviously he's doing it for a reason, but a real tactician, yeah. And these devices are very, very loud and bright.
Yeah.
It's really cloak them. Perfect.
Yeah.
Micro cloak. Again, it would have been nice to have Tyler, be influenced by this ship, because this was his home for a long time. We have no idea how long. I'm assuming years. It would have been nice if he got more animalistic and aggressive and Klingon-y during these scenes, just by pure nature. That'd have been kind of cool. He goes into he does a bit of good using the knife, but that's just Federation training. So, you know what I mean? It would have been kind of cool if he'd reverted a bit. Would have been some nice subtext.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did say, yeah. The whole, "let me open that door," and she's like, "Huh? I was on a Klingon ship for 7 months," and he pops it open and does his thing.
Although he only got out of one door once, that was by beating a guy up. So I didn't really do that.
Yeah.
That was the Vok knowledge, not the him knowledge. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, why did Cole leave Laurel alive?
I have no idea.
And why is there only one room, the interrogation room that you put?
And that's right near the bridge too, because they locate Cornwell's just on the other side of the bridge. So this dead body room that probably stinks because you see the Klingons a little bit of spark, they're
well, they do say burial burning. Room, so I'm assuming it's where Takuma did some of his sarcophagusing and they just don't use it now.
Yeah, it's odd to have it near the bridge though. Have that back in the back part of the ship or something. I don't know.
Well, but to be fair, we don't know how much the ship is the cloaking device, like an older version of cloaking device. Maybe it's the ship is a big part of that is. So we did theorize originally that it's such an old ship that a lot of the ship, like, you need massive reactors to be able to power it. You need massive warp engines. You need massive those crystalline things to be solar collectors. So maybe the bridge, the front bit, is the only habitable bit.
Oh yeah,
close.
could be, absolutely, yeah.
And there's limited space. It just happens to be there. Because I mean, you wouldn't. There isn't a need for the ship to be a fortress of people living there. It's a ship that sarcophagizes people onto the hull. That's the point of the ship. It's a ceremonial ship. You don't need a, you know what I mean? That would be kind of cool, actually, if it was all not space.
Yeah. And Jamal says, killing her is too easy. Leaving her to rot dishonors her more than in the simple execution. So I kind of buy that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Tyler runs into Laurel.
Yep.
And then you get flashbacks to those. Remember the first time we watched this, were they torture scenes? Were they surgery scenes? We weren't sure. Now we know. So the PTSD kicks in full force.
Yep.
And she starts walking towards him, and she finally gets shot because.
Yeah.
And the torture scenes are kind of brutal, actually.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, wonderfully horrible.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they're not torture. They had to actually go one level above. You know.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't use those sorts of mechanical things to torture, and yet he'd be fine. But he would use them to completely redo his body. Now, a little thing I noticed: Laurel is the luckiest Klingon out there, for several reasons. But did you pick up why she's the luckiest Klingon in this ship?
No idea.
Okay, so do you remember a second ago when Tyler is trying to open the door, right? And Burnham is now the one guarding, and she turns her gun to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And that was you see it. But then she turns it back to stun to shoot Laurel, who she doesn't know. So she goes from kill to stun because lol. So she goes from I'm going to kill anybody I see, and I thought that was kind of weird. It's like, I know you can destroy the ship, but you killing anybody you see, it's a bit, you know, any Federation Starfleet, you beam aboard a ship, you stuck, you know, in DS9 when they shoot those Klingons, they're not killing them, they're stunning them. You don't instantly kill enemies, you stun them and then do them afterwards. So it was weird that she went from the kill setting and then happened to swap to stun. Because the gun's very obvious to say which one's which, because it's got red light or blue light.
I never noticed that, but that's interesting.
Like I say, she's the luckiest Klingon because it was set to kill about 15 seconds ago. She should have been shot dead, but plot. Small thing. I just thought it was kind of interesting that they didn't need to do that. I think I just forgot which button it was set to be honest.
Probably. At least she's not pointing it at herself, which happens later.
Which did happen. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is... I have written down here, using the communicator as a translator is cool.
It's both brilliant and broken at the same time.
Yeah.
It's perfect, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Cornwall had a communicator, and they would have got it and dissected it, so he might have even known that they had communicator, whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, Ash is no use to anybody. He's going to be sticking with Cornwall. Good thing she used to be a psychiatrist, so she can kind of help him through it. She can't feel her legs, though. So she's like, he's useless to you. Leave him here with me. You go finish your thing.
Yeah. But she's a very good psychologist. She does get him back and running, but not that good to see Lorca for who he is. She's not until right at the end. She's good.
Well, her feelings were getting in the way with him. So
true. And then we see a teeny bit of space battle, and it's like, why can't they hit Discovery? Like when you say a ship is the strongest ship ever and destroy a planet, and the Discovery is just, we're fine.
I love that scene where Discovery goes above, and you see him look out the window like, where are they going?
Why can't we hit it? We've got a ship the size, the biggest thing we've ever seen. Hit the damn ship. It's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the next thing I've written down is Stamets's quote, because they start spore jumping, which is really cool. I love that shot where it like goes in front of the ship, and also and calls like, what the hell is going on?
Space CG is a level above.
Yeah,
like it's actually Star Trekky, and
yeah, it was good. It was one of the things I really enjoyed about this episode. But yeah, the whole universal translator active on the communicator, really well done. I thought that was really cool. Set it down, you can hear the English coming out of it. So,
although actually, it's interesting because we hear it outputting in Klingon. As she holds it up, he's like, "How do you speak Klingon?" And she's talking, and it's outputting in Klingon. How is she hearing English and it's transmitting Klingon?
Because it's transmitting with them. I don't know. Because it's a universal translator. That's the simple answer, I guess. We have an episode coming up on the universal translator. We haven't filmed it yet, but I wrote the script.
Yeah. Anyway.
Tim Theo puts in $1. Thank you very much, Tim.
Oh yeah, super chats. They're important.
They are important.
Fund the channel a little bit.
They make us go. You are like. Well, super chats are like Packlids, I guess. No, super chats are the smart things. We're like the Packlids, obviously.
We are.
You make us go. The super chats make us go. The universal translator is magic, says Jamal. Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this next shot of the you see the sarcophagus ship with the. This is awesome. Spore in, shoot. Spore in, shoot. It was really well done. I really enjoyed these scenes.
Oh yeah, beautiful because it's bright. You get to appreciate the ship. There's nebula. My only problem again is that if you have a petrol explosion at the point of hitting the shields, then it looks like you're causing damage. But you're hitting shields.
Yeah.
And the next shot, we're thinking, no, your shields are fine. Like, why are they like? If you make it seem that visceral, but it's just hitting shields, whereas if it's actually hitting the ship, they've got no shields. It's a weird visual disconnect of you're causing so much damage. No, we're fine. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is.
And then we spore. Is that next? No, then it cloaks.
Well, hold on. Before we do that, there's a picture of the spore drive control and a big red circle in the secondary hull showing spore drive. So I'm wondering how much of the secondary hull that spore drive occupies. If it's just one whole floor, like a Hydron collector, it's just a huge circle on one level of the ship, or if it does take up that much room, or if that's just a visual representation of the spore drive being used. Not necessarily that's how big it is. That's always interested me, though. It could explain a lot about the size of the ship and what that secondary hull, why it's shaped like that even. It could explain a lot if we get into the tech of it. If we get a technical manual on the Discovery, we'll maybe find out. But Jill Wright puts in $2. Why are Klingons getting roasted on hot coals? Klingons roasting on an open fire because it's that time of the year.
And because Cole's a bad leader, so
Klingon nuts. Yeah.
Well, 8 nuts. No, 4 nuts. I mean, lots of nuts.
Richard Kennedy puts in £3.99, £3.
Hey.
This will make you go long time. Thank you, Richard.
That'll make us. Yeah.
We go long time.
And we also love you long time.
I wasn't going to go there, but thank you, Samuel.
Welcome. So, the ship cloaks. That's another important thing, because the sarcophagus ship cloaks, and they do all these jumps. This is my other biggest problem with the plot, is that the sarcophagus ship does not move in this episode. We know from Star Trek 6, when a ship is cloaked, it has no shields. You hit a ship that's not shielded in cloak with a weapon, it gets badly injured. I know Discovery's doing a cloaky detect thingy, but you don't need, if you want to destroy the ship itself, you don't need to do the like you know exactly where it is. Like, you just shoot it a bit.
While you're talking, I'm just going to play animation 1 for Joseph, because he put in €2 and said communication in all Trek was kind of messy. So yes, but I'll play animation number 1 while you're talking. Sorry.
That's fine. It just felt weird that they're not taking the opportunity to destroy the ship, because this entire battle, like, once Cole cloaks, the obvious strategy is let's move or warp away, but he doesn't do anything. It's like, if you're cloaked, and I know he's not used to having cloaking devices, that's fine, but your shields are down, dude. You're the most sitting target ever. Like, if you just shoot them and then you board them, you take the cloak. I mean, this isn't going to be a tricky thing. It's just, it felt so weird to keep doing the spore jumps, yet you know exactly where they are. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're trying to use the. I don't know. I just feel like it would be an easier strategy just to take a cloak, steal a cloaking device. I mean, come on, if you can capture Cole,
yeah,
that's a big deal. and a cloaking device, big deal. And imagine if they took the Klingon ship of the dead, because they know exactly specifications of the ship based on scanning it while the shields were down. So they can shoot, just like in Star Trek Enterprise when they shot the bird of prey, load its power. Just shoot the power generator, whole ship goes power down. You destroy the life support. They all die. You've been board coal when the cloak goes down, because it'll bring everyone in the bridge to the brig. Now you've got the entire crew. You know what I mean? There's so many plans that are better plans than what you see. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sarcophagus ship never moves. It's a really bad. He's not a good leader. Is what I'm trying to tell you. Cole is a very, very poor leader.
Well, that being said, he wants to warp away. He thinks there's a plan. He thinks they're being tricked. There's something going on. He wants to engage the warp, and that's when Burnham starts firing.
Yes, but he's been vulnerable for at least like 5 minutes for torpedoes, and one torpedo can cripple the ship. We know it can. He should have walked away instantly. He should have said, "Go to cloak and jump to warp." Same order. You know,
he's overconfident. He's got a cloaking ship. He doesn't think that overconfidence is the destroyed a lot of people.
He thinks they're going to forget where he is.
Well, it doesn't make sense to cloak and then stay in the same spot. So maybe it's a strategic maneuver.
Does.
I know. That's exactly. They're not going to shoot here because obviously I wouldn't stay here.
So you reverse psychologies them by not doing a damn thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great maneuver, actually. You cloak, move, like 3 dimensions, move up. They fire there, you're gone, where you were, and then you go right back to where you were and just sit there.
But the problem with that, though, is that they're also relying on... Because they spore so close to the sarcophagus ship. If the sarcophagus ship had gone in any direction, they would have spored inside the sarcophagus ship.
That would be interesting.
The sarcophagus ship. It would have been. So that's also predicated on the fact that it doesn't move.
That opens up the thing of Stamets and how he sees the mycelial network. Does he know where the ship is? Can he detect the cloak Klingon ship while in the network? Can he see it and avoid it if need be? Because we don't know that. We know how omnipotent it kind of makes him, and he sees everything. He sees all these permutations and whatever.
Well, but he doesn't remember it. Like, he doesn't actually can't use that information.
But he can in the instant when he's jumping, because it's all happening at once, and he jumps to where he needs to jump. So he's not going to jump. I don't know. I think he might be able to. I think he might be able to see it while he's in the network.
I think that would have been amazing if Cod said, "That
sounds too Klingon. Say that again in Discovery Klingon. That's better. That's perfect.
Telling Universal Translator. Get a communicator. Press a button, Stuart.
I don't have my communicator. It's upstairs.
You haven't got a single one near you.
No.
God damn it, Stuart. I was hoping you would have one.
I got this one. I got this big old one.
Yeah, that works. So, no. It's huge. No. It would have been cool if Cod said, in English, cloak the ship, evasive maneuvers, you fly random. And then we'd seen it sort of move in space. And then, yeah, Stamets was jumping now. It looked erratic, and Captain Lorca's like, "What's he doing?" And then so was like, "I think he's tracking the sarcophagus ship while cloaked. How's he doing that?" Mycelium network.
That would be beautiful.
Cool.
And I could see it. And then once he's out of the machine, he can't do it. And perfect.
And obviously, you can still shoot it, but that's not the point of the scene. So you know what I mean? Little things that you could really add to it.
And so this is where Burnham starts shooting away, and she starts talking to the Klingon to call.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Great.
You know Klingon and all this, and she's like, Universal Translator, and he's like, oh, you're just trying to homogenize us and make us like you, and kind of feeds into their whole mentality of... but the thing that interests me in this scene, you got the navigators or whatever they are with the helmets on, the VR helmets, I guess. Why doesn't the guy? She's right beside him. Why doesn't he just? I got her. It's just. I know he's busy doing other things, I guess, in his helmet, but it just struck me as odd. This is where we find out that her Giorgio's badge was also used to pick his teeth. So
again, great scene, really great, really really great. But yes, I agree. I've had a lot of pictures, and also Stamets. We skipped a bit of Stamets.
Well, yeah, that's where he says. That's where he says there's a clearing in the forest. That's how they go, saying his babble.
And also said I love you earlier. That was a lovely moment. Just again, so many good moments of people, just awful tech. If this wasn't Star Trek, it'd be a damn good sci-fi episode. Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
If the tech was invented for this episode, it'd be great. Cole's great. Sorry, I'm just going through pictures again. Yeah, it is strange, those navigators. I mean, it's like, just tell your actor to go out of camera so you never get a sense. It's like, these are warriors. In TNG or TOS, they'd all grab their phaser or dagger and grabbed her.
But they got the VR helmets on, and they're focusing on Discovery that's kicking their ass right now.
I know, but she could also kill them, stab them, punch them. It's like, if they're
know.
that, it just proves how crappy that technology is if they literally don't give a damn. Why hasn't he got a chair? Klingons are fine with chairs. All the British have chairs.
It's an ancient ship, so they didn't want to sit back then. I don't know.
You can refit with a cloaking device. They can refit chairs. Yeah, and then the Tyler and stuff get attacked because they know they're after L'Rell to kill. They think L'Rell's escaped. So go kill L'Rell, and then
I love the disintegration.
Yeah,
it's
harsh.
Because Ash grabs one of the Klingon disruptors, and that's really cool. It's a cool effect.
Yeah, there's so many cool things. But I like how those Klingons can't hit literally non-moving targets. It's like, come in, shoot. I can't hit a stationary target. It's not moving. It's like,
as per the writing protocols, whatever's convenient.
Yeah. And then we have the "You've got no honor." No, they don't. But fight me for honor. He's like, yeah, right. I think it's the first honorable thing Klingons done all season.
Meanwhile, I'd be like, oh, I'm still expecting a trap. Can you please go to warp while I do this? All right.
See, that's what I mean. It's like they're not. And no one's told him. No one said, "Sir, Discovery is jumping literally once every second. There's something happening. I'm busy, sir. You're not that busy.
They keep shooting her.
We can kill her or shoot her. It's fine, sir. Should I? No, stay. We've got no shield, sir. Let me move the ship. My finger's on the button."
I hope there's no one in your house that hears you yelling.
Well, there is lots of people, but it wasn't too loud, was it?
It sounded loud.
Oh, I mean, it's one of those things you don't know how long things take because it implies that everything's going at the same time, so it's kind of it's
yeah.
Right,
anyway,
battle.
Yep.
Fighty.
I think they finished all 133 spore jumps, and then there's 5 minutes for the computer to break down the algorithm and detect the ship.
And then they should have shot it where they knew where it was. That was the moment to shoot it, hit the engines, take prisoners. Huzzah!
And yeah, anyway, Lorca's getting the recommendation that they should warp out for now and then come back after the whatever. He's like, no, we gotta get Burnham and Tyler back. Yeah, you don't want to spore. I mean, Stamets is like liquid in the.
He's melted. But to be fair, Lorca doesn't know that. He should have given the order anyway. You know what I mean?
Sir, we can't. He's not. Yeah. He's not responding or something. Yeah. Yeah, he wanted to save them.
Well, he needs to. He needs to serve Burnham to be his girlfriend later on.
Yeah, well, he didn't want her to go over there, and he reluctantly agreed. And now he's like, "We're staying together." And again, very Federation decision, or selfish decision, depending how you look at it. But in front of the crew, that would look very heroic. So, you know.
Yeah, I did really like actually the moment. I know we obviously going back a ton, but when he was so much fighting for "you can't go," it's like there is no reason, but now we know the reason. You know, that was a really that's the only time this episode, except right at the end, where he's playing a different game.
Yeah,
which was good.
Oh, I just got to the shot of the transporter console with the sarcophagus ship display. Mm-hmm. That transporter console looks a lot like the Millennium Falcon cockpit. Just saying.
Oh, it does. Yeah, with the 3 levers in the middle.
Yeah, with all the levers and the switches and.
Shh. So
just let us enjoy things. Just let us enjoy things.
It's a good fight between Burnham and Thingy. Although I was reminded to what Neville Page said, that the ridges on the back of the Colonel's head are their extra sensors for hunting and fighting. So why is Burnham
kicking his ass?
Yeah, she's not using any Vulcan Kung Fu. but he's stronger, better trained,
Maybe
older.
he's just playing with his food. He's just, he thinks, again, overconfidence is his enemy.
While your ship is vulnerable to attack at any moment because you haven't moved.
But you're cloaked, so there's no way they can detect me when I'm cloaked. So we're
Although
good.
we know you can see people while they're cloaked by looking out a window. And guess what Discovery has? A window.
But you can't see this cloak while they're cloaked, because it's a perfect cloak. It's not like the shimmering one in Star Trek 3.
Maybe that's season 2. Scimitar goes back in time. In between destruction of it, that Thaleron and Cannon is go back in time to Discovery, and that's how they get the cloak. It's a Scimitar Romulan cloak.
Right?
That's why time's changed. All because of Picard. Yeah. I want to talk about the Klingons another time, because there's a whole thing about the Klingons, which they revealed in special features, which is going to be interesting to talk about. I'll save it for later, but it
cool.
refers to the ridges and stuff.
And then the whole jumping while being transported. Anyway, so we get them aboard, and I don't know if does he get told here? Anyway, Lorca. No, yeah, this is where Lorca's like fire, because the calculation's done now. I don't think it took 5 minutes. I think the computer did it a little bit quicker, but he zaps his eyes and stands right up to the view screen.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy the explosion, which is it's kind of telling in of itself, I guess.
Yep. and they don't plan anything. It's just let's destroy them. Because remember what happened to Takuvma? You martyred Takuvma. It made this bigger power. Let's martyr this guy and the Ship of the Dead. He doesn't care. He's Norca, but there's because you could just shoot. You've now got access to beam anything on and off that ship. Beam anything on their ship, like a bomb. Beam the captain off. Beam the bridge crew off into space.
Beam the cloaking device off.
They could literally beam everyone off the ship into space. They could literally conquer this ship in minutes. I mean, really. But no, they're going to blow it up. And with only a few torpedoes. It's a very, very, very easy ship to destroy, it turns out. Really easy. It's like...
Anyway, the next scene is cool. You see the Discovery, and then it pans back through the view screen, or the window of Call's ship. He turns, and then that's a really, really awesome shot. I really did enjoy that.
It's very well thought out, very well executed. Doesn't make that much sense. And then
this explosion scene, this one frame you have where Lorca's like yeah, look what I just did. It was awesome.
I'm gonna be honest, I bet you he destroyed the ship in the Mirror Universe. I bet you he was the captain that did that years ago. And so he's like, I've already seen it. Both universes, I killed this ship.
This is how we roll, motherfuckers.
Although it's weird how Burnham turns around in this shot. It's like, oh no, destroyed, let me look back. At camera. Hello, camera.
Well, she was looking to see if Ash was there. Ash left the bridge. Ash came on the bridge, and before the explosion happened, he left because he was useless to her, and he feels bad, so he left. So he was behind her, so she was turning around to see his expression and noticed he was gone. Yeah. But here there's...
sense that. Cool, thanks for that.
Yeah. Here's the whole redemption of Giorgio. She got her badge back, and, she feels like, she accomplished something. She actually kind of corrected a mistake.
Yeah.
Anyway, here. Now, this scene confuses the hell out of me, and I don't know if you can maybe shed some light on this.
Stuart, why no hologram?
No, I'm not worried about the hologram. But
they're not using holograms, Stuart. They use
holograms. In his
holograms.
ready room. There's no holoprojectors, I guess.
No, Giorgio spoke to the Admiral in her ready room.
In her ready room.
And that was
an
a
older
7-year-old
ship. Yeah.
Exactly. So this new one, state of the art, would have holograms.
Anyway, that's not what confuses me. What confuses me... What confuses me is they beamed Cornwall on board the Discovery. Now he's talking to this admiral, the admiral's telling him that Cornwall's in surgery.
Yes. No, she's on the way to shuttle. She's a medical shuttle 88 or something to a space station.
Okay, so the shuttle left Discovery already.
And he's telling Lorca that, yes.
That's dumb. because later when they're talking about warping to Starbase 94 or whatever it is, they're like, should we warp through all the Klingons that are on their way here? No, we should spore jump. Well, blah, 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 blah. There's a whole conversation. But we're going to send a shuttle with an injured person expedited, I guess. It makes no sense. To me, I thought she was on the Starbase somehow. I'm like, how did that happen? Where they throw her in the spore chamber and just spore her?
Well, it's like, why not just wait for Discovery? I'm pretty sure your medical labs are slightly better than her being in a shuttle for 6 hours, 8 hours. I mean, there's only 6 hours, 5 to the Starbase. It's not that long, to be fair. It's not that long, but I mean, why not just wait and then spore? Because Starbase doesn't know they can't spore. They can actually spore, but they don't know the Stamets is hurt. Yeah, this is one of those scenes where they need to tie it up. It's like, right, we have to get to the universe. Let's just write this conclusion.
And the interesting thing is the sarcophagus ship exploded, and they cut to commercial for me because we have commercials because it's on the Space Network, and I'm like, cool. Skip the commercials, and it's like still 20 minutes left. That seemed like a good point to end this episode, but there was still a good chunk of time left with commercials and stuff. It was probably like 14 minutes or whatever. But
these scenes are brilliant. They're brilliant character moments. You get a real sense of peace in the last few moments as well. It's a really strong ender, apart from the Klingon sex, which was awful. But you get real strong moments.
Oh, you spoiled it for me. I didn't see that.
This episode's 18 rated. It's got some sex in it. Alien sex.
Starbase 46. That's the number I was looking for. Sorry. And I love it. I love it here too. We've talked about this the first time, where he says we're going to be giving you the Legion of Metal honor, or the Legion of Honor medal, and Lorca kind of has a suspicious look on his face. But we know that Vulcans can't lie. He's talking to a Vulcan admiral. Do you think the Vulcans know that something's up, and because they have Admiral Cornwall? If she said something. This was the whole thing we talked about the first time we reviewed this, whether they knew that she was going to recommend that he not be captain, whatever, even though he just did all this. It seemed like an odd scene. His reaction to that seemed very odd to me.
Someone said, Shane Ackery said, I think they didn't use a hologram because Cornwall already talked to them.
Yeah, I saw that comment, but I wasn't...
Because body language, I mean, you can body language, the thing is... Vulcans and humans have interacted for 100 years now. He's grown up with Vulcans. The Lorca, Prime Lorca. At some point you get a sense of aliens' body language.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't lie, but maybe if he was doing full hologram, he could sense something more wrong, whereas if he was a 2D sprite that they never use anymore. They never do. But
that's even more telling. Well, we never use this 2D technology, but... Yeah.
Oh, because my power reserve's running out. I can't do a hologram. Oh, ours are fine, Admiral. Yeah, but I'm busy. I've got pants on.
Hey, that's the thing. You can Skype without pants on.
Yep.
We know this because Doug Drexler. But
yeah, the last thing about that scene is that why is Discovery not sending the Federation the anti-cloak device thingy, which works flawlessly? Why would the Admiral... because Lorca does not know at this point he's mirror universing today.
Yeah.
That is not currently his plan.
Admiral, or Captain Robert April says, all together now, kids. They didn't think it through. That's the reasons.
But, the Admiral should have been like, you're ordered to. He's like, nope. He's like, what? You couldn't make that scene work. I bet they wrote it and we can't make it well. We'll keep the secret weapon ship called Discovery and the secret weapon killing device, the algorithm, both in my hands. Actually, to be fair, that's probably a bargaining chip, isn't it? He'll warp in and say, right guys, here's the way it's going to be.
I'm taking over the Federation because I have.
To be fair, that's probably what happened. He was probably gonna, because what is his plan?
Unless they didn't want to get intercepted on the way, or jammed, or intercepted. The Klingons find out that they found a way to get around the cloak.
Well, to be fair, they knew a fleet of cloaked Klingon ships were en route over the Federation border into Federation space with Federation ships at the border because we said we would return to our lines. So therefore, the Klingons would also be able to detect Discovery and intercept their transmission from hours away while cloaked at warp. It's only logical. Everyone can detect everything at all times. And to be fair, that sounds logical to me in this universe. I think you're right. Interception makes sense. Because the Rel must have detected the comm chatter that Lorca was being transported while she was on Kronos.
But we feel safe enough. We feel safe enough to send Admiral Cornwall in a shuttle. Why not just include the information with her so that it gets there ahead of Discovery? Because if the Admiral's going to be safe, just put it with her.
Well, the thing is, it wouldn't be ahead of Discovery because why is Lorca waiting 5 hours at this planet? We can spore home in 1 second. Like, why is he waiting here for 5 hours doing literally nothing?
We're beating a dead horse with this one for sure, because of bad writing.
I just like the debate. It's just interesting to try and because at what point is it Lorca's plan? Because seriously, we know what his grand plan is, but it doesn't come into effect until right at the end. So he's got the key to get home. Now he doesn't know it's going to work, but he knows it's now what he needs.
Jill just put in an interesting comment. She's been rewatching. She says, "I thought the algorithm was going to take 11 hours to compile."
Mm-mm. No, that's to refine.
Which they could do faster at a starbase, you would assume, with more tech labs.
This is the most advanced ship in the fleet, though. You could probably argue it's got a faster CPU than a starbase from years ago.
That's just. Well, you think the starbase would have many linked together, though?
This is the difference. But Zumi versus Compound, I don't know.
Well, let's just move to the next scene, because.
But no, seriously, think as soon as this makes sense. What is Lorca's plan? Because he has the key, probably. He's going to go home. He's not swapping it. Like, again, we know at the last minute he changes. What do you think his plan is right now?
I have no idea. I honestly can't figure it out.
Because he's been skipped. His plan's been like, I've now got.
He knows how to get home now, for sure.
So what's the next step? Because it isn't go home today.
No.
Like, the whole episode makes you think that's his plan, actually, but it's not.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in a second.
So I'm trying to have fun with this. It's like, is he gonna try and? Because does he? Oh, he doesn't. Now he doesn't actually need Discovery to get home though, because we know that they're retrofitting lots of ships to use spore drive.
Yes.
And you can make a Stamets with a single injection. Tardigrade man, not difficult. And no, seriously. And you know that only after like 1 billion jumps does it affect you. So Lorca might be thinking, like I'm legit. Ooh, what?
Captain Ron Phillips just put in something interesting. Lorca's plan may have changed when he found out that Cornwall was alive.
Oh yeah.
And rescued and going to report him to get removed.
Yeah. Well, my guesstimation, not the writers ever thought this because they have their own plot plan, is that he's going to jump home and then maybe maybe like force her undo commander, but he might end up stealing a different spore drive ship in the future because he is not in a like even if he went home today, which he does, him being then home doesn't factor into his plan. Like his plan to overthrow Giorgio is just I need to get home. So either he could just go home then, but then he doesn't act that way. But surely, if you knew I'm going to go home with Discovery, you would put your best soldiers on, get people that are loyal to you, get most torpedoes. I don't know, you'd throw off the people that might disobey you. Like, you do some sort of preparation. So I don't know what his next step would be until he decides, now I'm going to jump today.
I have no idea. I don't even know what to say about that, because I have no idea what his plan is. Maybe we'll get that clarified at some point, but
it was never said you could just make another Stamets because it's harmful to you. Well, yeah, but Stamets did make himself like that, and he was out of the sick bay the same day, and he had no ill effects until he started using spore drive. So there's no reason to, by what we see on screen, you can become a spore drive user. Now, yes, you could say it was a coincidence, lucky that he was the one that could. That's fine. They never say that. They're probably going to retcon that because they really need to. But they never said that, and that's important.
Next scene is Burnham talking to Ash in his room. He's all upset because he did fail her, basically. He became useless. Here we get the whole... He was in jail or prison for 227 days. And that he basically played along with her sick intentions to survive. And he feels like that was a cowardly way to do things. And it was actually survivor's guilt kind of thing going on, which I like because it ties in with the PTSD. But we get the whole story about how she was fascinated with him or infatuated with him, and like he played into it to be able to make it to the next day and the day after that, and really well done. But yeah, you get the flashback scenes, and Sebastian puts in €2 and says, "Hey there, guys. Was MIA for a while there. Play number 20. I will play animation 20."
Amazing fan request. I mean, you're all amazing, but super chats are just super amazing.
Yes.
Now, I do want to ask a theory here, propose something, because this scene is great, really well acted. Probably, I literally wrote A-star acting. This scene, really good, but I want to propose to you now that
you want to. Oh my God! Yes, Samuel. Yes. Yes.
Propose to you that.
Oh.
Context is king, Stuart. Remember that. I broke him. Look, we're going to talk about Klingon sex. That's close enough, okay?
Oh God! All right.
I want to propose to you that he is remembering. He is not remembering Tyler. He's remembering Vok. That L'Rell never raped the Tyler personality. That is just Vok having actual sex with L'Rell, but because he's currently still broken, he thinks of it that way, because I don't see any point in L'Rell screwing up the guy's mind, raping him, in essence, even if he's saying yes, it's still rape. I mean, come on, it's torture rape. And there's no reason to torture the human version of him except to give him fake scars, but just put the fake scars in first. Don't torture him after the fact. You might hurt him. So I want to propose to you that he is just remembering Vok's memories, and because we didn't know yet that was Vok. So we said, God, that's a horrible scene. But I think that is just him remembering actual Vok. So there's nothing creepy about that. That's just two consenting Klingons having a fun time. What do you think?
No, I totally agree with that. That's kind of the vibe that I got when I watched that as well. He overlaid his face on it in the memory because he's confused. Yeah,
which I think actually helps the subplot a lot, because I was always uncomfortable by that in ways. Because there's no reason for any of his memories to be real at a certain point, so we should assume none of them are real.
Yeah.
So I think that helps actually a lot, because
and this is a nice scene because at the end, Burnham and Tyler have their first kiss.
It's a really good
first
scene.
Kiss in this timeline, because they kissed, but
and the way they touch but don't touch, it's like it's a both friend. It's like they're so comfortable with each other, and these two not comfortable people, they're just sort of touching. But it's not. It's great. It's really great. Again, the character stuff in this episode is actually top notch. It's probably some of the best we've seen all season.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then same thing, next scene.
Oh, this next scene is great.
Just great. Yeah.
This is fantastically acted, and again, Lorca is amazing in this scene. Again, it's more like a Federation Captain Lorca, not a Mirror Universe. Until the end, where you can kind of see a little bit of a trigger behind his eyes when he gets the word. But yeah, I
didn't notice first time in the same way. It's so blatant this time.
Yeah. It's great acting. That's fantastic acting. But yeah, he says to Stamets, they were going to give me a medal. I told them to give it to you, and they have a nice back and forth. The Klingons are on their way. We're going to warp to Starbase 46, and I'm not going to ask you to spore jump again, which is really nice. I don't know if it was reverse psychology, assuming that Stamets would want to protect the ship and crew, so instead of warping through dangerous territory, they're going to... He figured that he would say he would spore jump for him. Again,
can I just address one comment first, and I'll jump on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Walter, cool second name. I never got it. Is Tyler a surgically transformed Vok, or do they implant Vok's mind into Tyler? No, Vok the Klingon was physically transformed, and they either had
Yeah.
captured a man named Tyler, or they had built a Tyler personality, implanted that over the top of Voq's mind.
We know a Tyler exists before this, so I assume they captured him and ripped his memory engrams or something. I don't know.
But also maybe not. Like, it could be the way, because we never see memories from Tyler. We only hear the words.
But he does say where you grew up and stuff, and Lorca had already checked into it, so he knew his history.
Yeah, but you can implant that just from... I mean, they must have captured some Federation ships back at the Binary Star. You download the... You know what I mean? Personal records are pretty complete in the Federation. Anyways, but I think it works just fine. Like, it's normal stuff for sci-fi. But yeah, so the whole... Okay, so as I said before, Pavo... Every bloody time.
Pavo, yeah.
Pavo is in Federation space a good chunk as well. It's not on the border. It's a good chunk. So, Lorca says, Pavo is safe. By the way, there's a fleet of Klingon ships on the way. Pavo's not safe, man. What are you on about? They're going to burn this planet because the sarcophagus ship will... Like, they'll warp in, see burning wreckage of your Messiah's ship, and then go annihilate the planet. Why is there a sense of peace here when you've got a fleet of ships coming after you to the place? Like, you say, a fleet is on its way to defend Pavo, we'll put a show of force, it's fine. Like, again, they sort of bow it, but they actually had a really big sense of wow. But Starbase 43 is not back towards the border, it's back towards Federation space, so
46.
So they're not going to pass the Klingon ships, like, they go in opposite directions. So there's never a chance of them bumping into the Klingons by going back to the Starbase. So it's just, they could come after them at Warp 9, I guess. They could try and outrun them, but then they
Well, it depends how the border is, and, you know, if they're here, but the border kind of goes like this around them, if there's ships coming this way from the Klingon Empire still, it could be that Pavo's in a little pocket.
Well, I feel like it'd be dumb of the Admirals to say, let's why don't you go to the one starbase that happens to have the Klingons in between you and it?
Well, no, it's not between, necessarily.
But also, the Klingons can't tell where Discovery is. Except you can, obviously, because you can detect ships wherever they are. But I just think it's reverse psychology. But at the same token, he does not know that this will fry Stamets. He does not know Stamets will not do it. So he's actually saying, yeah, you don't have to spore, mate. We're good. Like, we are good.
And then he's like, no, I want to spore, blah, blah, blah. And then Lorca's like, all right, cool. And then after we get back, we can explore all this new cool stuff we can do. And this is where Stamets is like, no, one more jump. That's it. And you can see that, yeah.
Now, interesting, actually. Because he knows Stamets in his reality is very smart. This Stamets, you could say, is smarter because he didn't destroy the entire, universe. Or whatever. So what if actually Lorca's telling the truth in a sense? His plan is to win the war. Cool. Great. Then take the Discovery via a mission to a parallel universe, fully equipped, fully upgraded, fully refitted with what he's requested, to play that part up until the end, and then he gets the Mirror Universe with his proper equipped, with Stamets,
with a ship that's ready to go, and take out the Empress, take control.
I feel like, because the way he's saying it, I still felt he was genuinely saying, dude, we're gonna go do it. Because that only works, like, that fell apart instantly, but I felt he bought it. I felt he was... So that was actually quite interesting. Like, he is having a long play. And to be fair, the longer he's away from Giorgio, the longer... Yes, he doesn't know what the situation is, but the more complacent she's going to get. I think he's dead. And that's important,
Yeah.
Then it flips, like I said, that was a wonderful little moment of acting.
Well, this is, because Lorca's hand is really forced now, because he needs to know, this is the last jump, so he's got to go to the Mirror Universe now. So he doesn't, his plan isn't going to unfold as he really has anticipated. So, anyway, then we get some nice, flashy cutscenes of bad stuff. And Tyler goes down to the brig and basically kneels before her. And she goes, I'll never let them hurt you. There's still time, blah, 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 whatever. It was... The end of this episode seemed kind of sloppy and very much just trying to rush things. because it's scene.
Yeah, but for me, the because you think this could be the end of the season, this could be the end of the show. I mean, because you get this sense of, we've won the war, everyone. We're gonna go home. I love you. You know. Okay, Tyler's not so much, but he might get closure. You know, everyone's like, we're going to the next thing. It's fine, and so it gives you a sense of and then rug from under you. I was really like surprised how nice the vibe was, and you can easily miss Lorca's topping it. Like if you blink, you will miss it. Which means if you watch it first round, you are buying everything, and then it does go away. Because it's always better to have contrast. You go from these nice scenes into the contrasting bad scene of, oh no, Stamets is blind and all these things. So I think that was part of it. But it almost felt like a part where it is chapter 1 finale. I mean, it is. Did get that kind of sense.
Yeah. So they jump. Incomplete navigation sequence. Everything kind of falls apart. The ship does a whole 2 of them for a second.
Yep.
And override Lorca G. Yeah, some great.
And we spent so long on this last year.
Yeah, we looked at the coordinates, the spore jump coordinates he punched in, and yeah.
And we were right. I mean, I think from this point onwards, we were right at more things than we were wrong. You know.
Yeah.
And he does say, "Lovely, let's go home."
Yeah. 2 ships, and then Stamets is blind and muttering some kind of poem. I can't remember the words exactly.
We talked about seeing infinite possibilities, and now we know exactly what it does mean. You read it, it's like, yep,
infinite permutations. Yeah.
And then they're an asteroid. They're a debris field where although not, well, probably I guess it was still where that starbase was. It's not the starbase we see later on. So it's just the starbase is blowed up. Saru, who gets some lines now, because they always forget about him when they don't need him.
Yeah.
Because Stuart, it's an ensemble show.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
With the bridge crew. I will say though, the 2 helmspeople did get a line each. I think, or at least the Black Lady did. Like they did get a line for once. I think maybe for her first or second line. I mean, not really. Like a couple, but ensemble.
Kim Theo puts in $2. Animation 5. Before I leave,
you.
Please. So I'm going to play that right now while you're talking still. So animation 5 on the way.
Thank you. I do love his acting though. His acting, you now know he is. So, what's his name? Jason Isaacs is acting playing Gabriel Lorca, he's acting playing a Mirror Universe character, playing a Prime Universe character, acting now to his crew that he doesn't know what's happening. Like he's now, there's so many layers of acting, and he's so, I don't buy Lorca. He's like, what is happening out there? Where are we? Saru, where are we? Like it's shock, or it's not shock, although he is kind of shocked. There's a, destroyed thing. And now if you watch this scene, you can see, we said originally, is this wreckage of Klingon ships? Are we now in the Prime timeline of these Prime ships? But now I see the wreckage and I see the Jakku class or whatever, the red ship. Like, it's absolutely just wreckage of the Klingon cruisers. Like, it's really blatant. Which I'm surprised, because we never saw the ships clearly before. We didn't know what ships they were. But it's just this ship. Like, it's literally just this ship. And you can see all the pieces, it's multiple parts. Because now we know what they look like, because now they're bright in outer context, so it's just lots of class destroyers. Oh,
nice.
Called Disaster, the Disaster class, if you English it.
Nice.
And I'm guessing this is, well, one of the rebel... Oh, you know, they say, don't they, the other ship is blowing up Klingon ships in the next episode. Boy, I wish we'd seen... Wish had been ballsy enough to show us a ship with a Mirror Universe yellow ISS. Would have been really cool, but, you know...
Bradley Briggs says...
Sent... Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Bradley Briggs said, sometimes you just gotta blame the directing when a scene's bad. The actor can't fix it. It's true.
Oh no, I think that was on purpose. Like I give more credit for Lorca. I think that's fine because it's fun. It's like that was on purpose. Yeah. So there you go.
So let's into the forest. I go, and we've gone.
We have gone into the forest
twice and come back.
Yeah.
On the other side.
And last time we were like, oh my god, what's what's the plot? What's the plot? And now we know exactly. And it's a very different experience watching it this time, I will say.
Absolutely. So next one's episode 10, and
We don't have to wait 3 months.
Yeah. But we will. I don't know when we're doing the review of that. Maybe Tuesday. No, Tuesday. I got. We should arrange that now. Maybe Wednesday.
I don't know when. Can't do Wednesday.
Can't do Wednesday. I can't do Tuesday. I can probably do Tuesday. We'd have to be done by 7. We'd have to be done by. Anyway, we'll talk about that off screen.
Yes. I tell you what. Why don't you talk to the great people? I will listen to our thoughts from last year.
Yes.
And then we can do our final closing and see where we are after. Because I have some. Yeah. Why don't you tell? Right, I'll say my score for this before I listen to my other comments.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I'm gonna. The problem is I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 10 for plot. Like, so it doesn't work, but like a 8 to 9 for character stuff. Like, it's so dichotomy of difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange. So I don't know what I can give because it's both really strong. But if you don't care about the sci-fi or the plot or the narrative, it's a brilliant episode. But if you don't care about that stuff, that's a really bad thing. Because you watch things for plot, story, sci-fi for sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're not divorced. And these are things that you can write out in second draft. Or third draft, if they even get to third draft. So it's tricky. I don't know what to give it, honestly. A 5, I think, would be unfair to its quality writing. So actually a good, probably one of the first well-written episodes. Like, properly... Like, the first 2 were okay, but this is pretty well written, except the massive plot points. But that's a classic Discovery trope. Poor plot, good other stuff. So I don't know. Honestly, I'm really torn what to give it. Like I said, it's such a dichotomy for me. Do you know what I mean, or have you got an obvious answer for that?
I absolutely know what you mean. I mean, as a standalone piece, it's pretty well done, pretty fast-paced, great movie.
Yeah, if this was a 2-hour movie. This is a 2-hour Star Trek movie. I'd buy it. Like, smarter, but yeah.
No, if it didn't have to tie in, or not Star Trek necessarily, but sci-fi, it'd be brilliant. I think it was pretty good. But
see, it's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. Do you want me to give you my score now?
I mean, will that help? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Like
just,
I said,
just the score. Don't comment. Just score.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
just score, and we'll save that. 6, maybe. I guess.
I was going to give it a 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, like you said, there's some. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
About our reasoning for it, but.
Okay. Right. So you talk to the lovely people.
All right. What the blazers are these guys going on about?
I think we explained ourselves pretty well, huh?
Discovery episode 9.
Well, yeah, and wait, guys, put your score down. We'll do that right at the end so we can see everyone. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. This show is made for the ADHD audience who like pretty pictures while they're on Instagram. Well, that's kind of the problem with a lot of new media, is it's geared towards that millennial kind of short attention span. But yeah, I see what you mean. I can't help it, but front views of the illuminated Discovery reminds me of 1980s neon signs. Yeah. Actually, I really like this shot of Discovery above Pavo. Actually, I'm going to open up the other one, the one that started the show, because that's a beautiful shot. There's lots of good in this episode, for sure. Lots of things that I can really appreciate. There. All right. This and the mud episode were the strongest to that point. Yeah, I can see that. I will say one thing: Discovery is a beautiful ship. It's just not the best Star Trek ship. It is a nice looking ship from certain angles, and it's for another era maybe. I just don't think it really fits in this era, but that's a nitpick, I guess. I'm glad I gave this review a chance. I really enjoyed it. I've been defending Discovery hard for a long time now. To be fair, and admit its faults, but love the characters. Yeah, well, that's what we do. We take a look at the good and the bad. There's a lot of good little nuggets in Discovery that we really enjoy, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense, as with all Trek. And that's one thing that we like to say is when we talk about other Trek episodes, there's a lot of mistakes in Trek, and it's worth pointing them out, the good and the bad in all of it, because nothing's perfect. So that's what we do, and we're not neither bashers nor are we lovers of the show necessarily. We just love Star Trek in general, and we just want to be fair and give you our opinions. So it's not even the millennial attention span. My group has started getting into older, more character-driven films on our film night, and they love it. It's just lazy plot and writing. Yep. Joseph puts in €2. Thank you, Joseph. All hail the Empire. All hail Trekyards. For me, 8. All right, I will play number 8 for you. All hail Trekyards, eh? That sounds evil. Well, this is a nice one. The NX-01 and the Galaxy flyby. Really beautifully done. And guys, yeah, if you're out there and you want to see one of these animations that's on screen, by all means, send a super chat and request. I'll definitely play whatever you'd like. There are some bonus ones as well if you want to roll the dice and get one that I pick. Let me know.
And I am back.
That
was a pretty quick summary we actually had.
Nice.
This time. So that was an interesting re-listen.
Okay.
So to give context, I just watched our last year review, first time rewatch, when we didn't know the final. We were speculating, we were excited, we knew a 3-month gap or whatever was happening, and we were and I only had watched it 1.5 times. You watched it at least 2.
Mm-hmm.
So some things you said, and again, this year you gave it a 7, and I gave it a 6. You said best episode yet.
Best serious episode yet. The Mud one was kind of humorous, and yeah, it was fast paced and action. Yes.
Edge of your seat.
I would say so.
Lull with Michael at the end. But still good. You thought it lulled. Yeah.
I laughed out loud at Michael at the end.
No, lulled, not lulled.
Oh.
A lull in the action. You didn't like the fact that it slowed down at the end, Michael Tyler. Whereas this time we're like, oh, it's so heartfelt and real.
Gotcha.
So that was, yeah. Oh, and you... Well, okay, I said, this is what we hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
Great writing. Very strong episode. Best so far. I also thought best so far. Interesting. I said, wandering through mediocre episodes was worth it to get to this point. And if the next 6 is this good, we've finally got there.
Okay.
So our scores. Are you ready, Stuart? And do look into the camera so I can watch your face.
Let me guess. Mine was a 9.5.
So this year you scored a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
On first watch, you scored a 9.8 out of 10.
Ooh. Okay.
And you said the only reason it wasn't perfect, the only reason it lost minus or 0.2 is because you didn't know what happened to Pavovins at the end.
Pavins.
That's it. The only thing you didn't like about it. Huh. Thoughts?
Wow, I was stupid. That's interesting. It's embarrassing a little bit. Well, this one, out of the ones we've seen so far, this one and the Mud one are probably the 2 best for different reasons. This one's got, like I said, a lot of great, fantastic space shots, which we've come to know and love from all Star Trek. This one incorporated them, finally. And we got some battle, we got some good character development, some good moments, nice scenes. Yep. They were just kind of all over the place and sprinkled hither and thither. And just some plot holes, like the whole Admiral Cornwall going off on a shuttle. Best safer on the ship, but whatever.
And just the whole cloaking thing.
Yeah. So I really did enjoy this one the second time as well. Just not as much, clearly. Because I know what comes after, and I think some better stuff comes after. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm anticipating that. So judging this based on what I know comes later, it's kind of like, it's... But with this being as far as we saw before, I can see why I would say this was the best.
So it had the most balanced Trek aspects at the point. Good CG, good characters. The Klingons, we celebrated the fact that they spoke English and actually were good.
Yeah.
Whereas now we expect that they talk English the rest of the season and it works. You know. Again, it's funny how you give us one expectation and we like, yes, Klingons speak English, and we give them points for that. And now, but yeah, obviously we expect that all of the time in Trek, you're going to go back to that because that's how it should be, at least in terms of contextual acting stuff. But at the time we would give them points for it. But now it's like, well, yeah, you learned that lesson and now things have come through.
We got another super chat from Squadra Course.
Thank you, sir.
For $5. Hi guys, I like that they're doing some multi-universe stuff, but I hope they don't change the MU timeline too much. Well, too late.
Or just commit to a different universe and then we're fine. So my score. You ready? This year, after a rewatch, and I said it before I knew what I said, so I thought it was important. Last year, I gave it a 6. This year, I gave it a 6. Last year was a 9.5. I was on the bandwagon with you too, Stuart.
I think we hype each other up sometimes, and kind of, yeah.
How didn't I see the problems though? That's amazing.
We must have talked about them in a review because I remember some of that conversation seemed familiar.
I didn't see any of them because I think first time you want to know what happens, you're excited, they could explain the cloak. I think we were hoping they'd see Romulans and explain the cloak, but they don't. All these things dead ends, and there's so many. And obviously we know that this is really the end of the Klingon War arc in terms of the build-up and pace.
Yeah, there's some confusion in the chat. Zarkon Grissom, Cage happens about the same time as this, and Jamal's like, no, 3 years before, and somebody said no, a year before. Yeah, it's like 3 years before that the Cage happened, before this. So go check your timelines.
Long past Cage.
Yep.
Summary: the episode did not age well for the Captain Commander. It's now in context. That's it. It's a really strong episode of television. It's just a really poor serialized science fiction part of a narrative. Is that a good summary?
Yep. And one of my favorite things about it is the space scenes. I gotta say, the space scenes and the CGI, the jumps, the multiple jumps was really cool to see. Things like that really excited me. I've got a good still on the screen right now, stuff that I really appreciate about this show. I don't think Discovery is a hideous ship. It looks good when it's done properly, and this shot is beautiful. So there's a lot about this episode I liked visually.
And just to clarify, someone's saying Cage took place a year before Discovery. Yeah, but we mean Discovery at the point that we see Pike in the present of Discovery.
Yeah.
Discovery takes place over a year and 3/4 or 2 years. So obviously, it can't always be 3 years before, 2 years before. We just mean at the present of Discovery.
Because at the end of this episode, they jump in the mirror universe, and when they jump back, it's 9 months later when they jump back into this timeline, because they also went forward in time a little bit when they jumped. So it's 9 months. They actually state 9 months when they come back. So, yeah,
so we mean
almost a whole year.
From the point we see Pike, it's been about 3 years. And we don't mean literally 3 years of those 12 months to the day. 3-ish years. And that's important.
And Captain Robert April says, yet this coming season is supposed to be leading up to the Cage. In other words, the producers are idiots. No.
Referencing Cage? I mean, you can lead up to the repercussions of Cage.
Because Cage has already happened.
Yeah.
I think people are really confused about that. The Cage did happen 3 years before where we see Pike at the end of season 1.
Jill says Cage is 2254, Discovery starts 2256, so 2 years, and we end up in 2257. Yeah. But yeah, no, I enjoyed watching this episode. It's a broken episode that you could easily fix, and that annoyed me because it's just a pure scripting problem. You know,
Mecha Random 42 is here. Hello, Mecha.
Oh god, you haven't been on one of our streams for ages.
I know she's her moderator rights should be taken. I should take her wrench. No, it's good to see you, Mecha. Thank you for joining us.
Now, are there ways we could fix this episode in terms of plot? Do you think? Like, is there anything you would do? Just be like, and boop, works better. Do you think?
Hold on a second. You talk for a second. I just got to address this.
Okay. Yeah. Hi guys. No, I'm excited. Closings are coming back. I'm assuming it's going to lead up to why he got hurt. I mean, wouldn't it make sense that Pike's supposed crippling was a cover story? He helped cadets. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine, but
he rescued cadets off an old J-type starship from radiation. Yeah.
Or he could do an epic thing like in Discovery. So I'm totally fine with him. We see the real what happened.
But it happened just before not long before the episode of Menagerie. So that's like still 9 years in the future. So it's not going to happen.
Oh, was it just before? I thought it was a couple of years.
No, it was a few months before.
I guess Kirk was surprised, wasn't he? And you'd hear when a Commodore that important, you know, the first captain of your ship who you knew. Yeah. I guess you'd hear that in the grapevine, wouldn't you? It's true. But yes, is there any way you could fix the storyline? Do you think the cloaking, the Pavo? Because again, Pavo, like, it wasn't important at all because the scientists at Federation Command are working on it, and they fixed the whole cloaking problem in 3 hours. A plan which they could have planned at any point with any cloaked ship.
See, I would have
completely irrelevant.
I would have tied in the whole Pavo transmitter that we saw in the last one, the big crystalline structure, into the locating of the cloaked ship. Yeah, you do all your jumps, you do all your calculations, but then you send a beam or some technobabble down to the transmitter that resonates a frequency, because that's what it does, and either disables the cloak or makes it visually shimmer or something. Or even to sensors. I don't care, but incorporate the planet somehow, because the planet was a huge part of part one. We're still in orbit of Pavo, the Pavonians, yay! And then, I don't know what happens to them. It's just tied together.
What was their plan? Like, we'll get them into orbit and then not talk to the Klingons. Like, Pavo wouldn't it make sense if Pavo like appeared on the bridge and Cole's like, "Who are you?" And they're like, not going to talk to them.
Captain Ron Phillips just want to address something. He asked if Pike was still in active duty or if he was retired when he saved the cadets. He was actually not in active duty. He was not retired either. I think he was promoted. Missions? Yeah, I think he was promoted to Commodore. He was just kind of like he wasn't actually like out in the field kind of thing. He was just on this training exercise, and
he wasn't starship commanding gallivanting. I mean, he was way too young to be like retired. I mean, you can live a long time. You work a long time. No, I like that. Yeah, they should have tied the transmitter. They should have made the key be Pavo, because that was meant to be the key. So they used jumps, and they.
And even because the Pavonians invited the Klingons here and the Federation, have them appear on the ship after the fact or whatever, and then some mention be made of Organia or something, or they just or they leave the planet in search for something else, so that it could tie in with the Organians at some point. That would be kind of neat, because that's what I thought they were leading up to with the last episode. Is, you know, these guys want to. The whole planet is united. It's all one organism kind of thing. It's at peace, and that's what it just wants peace. So when it sees conflict, it tries to fix it. That's exactly what the Organians did. So I thought there was going to be some tie-in for that, and there was actually no payoff at all. I mean, they could come back in season 2 or season 3 and visit Pavo again for some reason, but it's not as impactful as doing it in this episode.
They'd be retconning importance back.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been cool if, you know, the last episode, it was hugely sorrow focused. He can sense them, he can understand them. They've got a frequency that's important. Would have been interesting if first scene of episode 2, Discovery jumps away, and then Cockings comes in, and you set the scene, and then Cole's like, what is going on here? Then a Pavonian appears on the bridge, and they start making noises, and he can't understand it, and he tries to shoot it, does all the classic Klingon stuff, and it's trying to communicate, but assuming Klingons would try to communicate back. And Saru says, I can sense they're on the Klingon ship, because he's still connected, right? And then Lorca says, can we use that? How? Well, could triangulate that signal and use the resonance of the planet connected with the ship to bounce back. Because if you're bouncing, if the planet and the people are connected, then you can use the sonar in space, remember? Sonar in space. So they can sonar off the hull of the ship using magic sonar. And then they can detect it. Same thing, we need to jump to triangulate, boom, we'll turn that into whatever. Then they say, Burnham says, if this doesn't work, this is our one chance to take out their flagship. One chance. I recommend that being board and try and disable their engines. If I can take out the warp engines, they're stuck. And they'll run out of power and food. I recommend being a small boarding party on board the ship. Agreed. And he gives them, phaser rifles and, proper arm, not little, it's an assault party. And they take a few people, maybe even the black badge guards, whatever. And then they beam aboard, same thing, but they go to the engine room. And they put bombs in, and they have a plan B, because that makes slightly more sense. They do the jumps, they get the signals, and they say, right, we've now got a way of getting you back. They beam them back. And then Lorca, now having what he wants, he triggers the bombs, because he doesn't want, he's done with them, blows it up, or whatever. Or they take it. Prisoners seem more smart, but lead into more things. But using the things in coexistence and having a secondary plan would be smart as well. What do you think?
I approve of this theory, or alternative reality. Yeah,
no, and then you have the engine room is closer to the brig level. It makes more sense. They detect human signature. Same thing. Go collector. And the next brig over is Lorel, not the same room.
Mm-hmm.
And she's at the bar, and she hears noise. She comes to the door, and she sees Vok. And as she sees Vok, as he sees her, he locks eyes. He has a PTSD trigger, and Lorel talks to things. I can fix him. I was a torturer, but I can fix him. What I did to his mind. And then they take her with him on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of ways to subtle little changes that would have made this one a lot better. But we've said that about pretty much all of the episodes. There's Captain Robert April there is putting some actual transcripts from the episode. How he was inspecting a cadet ship when it happened. He was a Commodore, and they didn't have the heart to retire him, so he's still on the active duty list. So, but as a Commodore, I don't think he was necessarily in charge of a ship. I think he was maybe working at the academy, because he was inspecting some cadets. So anyway, thank you for putting that in the chat. Very helpful.
Yeah. You guys like my ideas too? Because you don't want to give up on these things. How could you improve and the fact is they had a time crunch.
Yeah, I'd say
they had to produce all these episodes
and a story crunch.
And a story crunch. Yeah. So they didn't have a year to write these scripts, refine them, fix them. They just didn't. And we felt they got better as they went on because they were refining them, but I'm assuming they had the narrative stuff locked earlier. And they were refining the talking stuff rather than the narrative stuff.
Apparently he was a fleet captain, not a Commodore. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. We're talking about Pike on the chat. I'm just sorry. Anyway, it was interesting how much we changed from last year to this year as far as this episode goes. But as you said earlier, context is king. So seeing it in the grand scheme of things, there were some really subtle things that I liked about this one. The fact that Lorca felt very Federation-y was nice, but that whole twinge when Stamets said it's going to be my last jump, and what that means to Lorca at this point, that this is why he has to do this now, because that really didn't make much sense as to what happened the first time around, but this time makes total sense of why Lorca feels like his plan is whatever it is. Like we said, we don't know. His hand has been forced here by Stamets, and it's just really interesting that now he can get back home. And I don't know what he's. I just wish I knew his plan a little more detailed.
I mean, the plan was to allow us into the mirror universe either way. There was never a plan beyond what we see. You know, it was a narrative plan, not a character plan.
Yeah.
It kind of works in this case. Surprisingly, this is why it actually does work just fine.
Observer dude puts in 2 pounds.
Hey, exactly.
Isn't Archer still alive at the time of Discovery? As somebody said, I think he'd be around 140.
Yeah, that's a bit far for that timeline.
Yeah, because even McCoy in TNG was 137.
That's a long time in the future. And he was also a doctor. He took care of himself.
And he was pretty old looking. So, which
What's
I think they aged him too much, because I think that much in the future he wouldn't look quite that bad.
He chose to look that old.
Oh, I can see McCoy doing that.
Like Picard choose to be bald. I mean, it's all a choice. I mean, he could have surgery to look like whatever. You know, it's not difficult. I mean, T'Pol will still be alive. Savol is probably still alive. Bit senile now, probably, but T'Pol's still plenty alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archer's dog was alive in the JJ verse until Scotty transported it. Well, that was just a throwaway line, I think. Look, we know about Star Trek. There's a dog.
Yep. Brian says, on a story crunch, did TNG, DS9, EC have a crunch too before the series aired? Well, a lot of those shows actually, they were rewriting stuff as they went, but because it wasn't serialized, well, it was episodic, not serialized, they could so this has to be a good single episode. And they didn't say, right, make 4 filler, which don't mean the thing, and then change the entire... Because when you change a series arc from 9 episodes down to 5 episodes, and then add 2 more after the fact, and keep swapping and change characters and stuff, whereas it's episodic, you say, right, this episode, not quite working, change third act, okay, but you know the feel. So it is different. Like, if, for example, in Enterprise, if they'd said to them, right, you've already filmed 6 episodes of the Indy arc, we're going to change the last third. So now everything leading up to changes. It's like, oh shit. The Zindi now from the future. What? You know what I mean? The Zindis are really, pack lids. It's like, oh shit. When you do something that radical, it affects everything. Which is why it's amazing Discovery is as good as it is. Except things like the narrative stuff. Because like I said, I guarantee that the Ship of the Dead was originally meant to be destroyed a lot earlier. Because it could have been destroyed at the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
That would have been absolutely fine. But then they had to put filler episodes in. And then they had to have this plan to do the jumps to, it's a weird butterfly effect, which is why episodes 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 have such more cohesion until you get back to our universe and then you rush it. But the Moon Universe stuff, strong cohesion. Because it was actually planned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah, but the Mirror Universe stuff was supposed to happen much earlier on in the show for sure. We're talking about lifespans on the chat, which is funny. So there you go, guys. I know some of you gave your scores on this, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. I would love to hear more of your scores.
Yes.
I kind of missed a few of them, I think.
So let us know, out of 10, please. Go.
Hey, Captain Commander, in your opinion, what Star Trek series had the best opening episode? Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it's TOS for both of them.
I would say TOS, yeah. Where No Man Has Gone Before. Oh,
and The Cage is pretty good. But it's still a pretty solid 2-parter as well. It's not amazing, but it's pretty solid. Yeah, Where No Man is pretty good, because Kirk is right off the bat. He is doing good. He is... And Gary's a great guest star. Gary Mitchell. Really...
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind, too, that that Where No Man Has Gone Before is the first episode of the actual series. When they replay them, they play them in Stardate order, which puts the Salt creature first, which is stupid, and then Charlie X, and then the Corbinite maneuver, and then I think Where No Man Has Gone Before, Or
Really?
yeah, I think Where No Man Has Gone Before is either 3 or 4 on the list, which is stupid. It's a stupid one to start on with the Salt Monster. Where No Man Has Gone Before was much better because you can see the uniforms change between Where No Man Has Gone Before, then the Corbinite Maneuver was the second one, and then they got to the costumes changed from from Where No Man Has Gone Before to Corbinite Maneuver, and then from Corbinite Maneuver to the next one, and then we get the production run of the show essentially.
So, according to Wikipedia, source of all good things, it's Man Trap first, then Charlie X, then Where No Man, then Naked Time,
then
Enemy Within, then episode 10 is Corbinite.
Yep.
That's how it released.
Which is stupid, because...
But in filming order, it's filmed, they released episode 6 first, then episode 8, then episode 2, then episode 7, then episode 5, episode 4, then episode 10, and 12, and 11, then 3.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it didn't bloody affect it. Imagine if that was Discovery, they released everything. It's amazing. And then only when you get to episode 25, is it 25, 26, 27? No, there's 20. Jesus Christ. They released 27, then episode 20, then episode 28. What?
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And they released the first episode filmed of season 2.
Outside of TOS, what would be our best series opener? Voyager?
Yeah.
I would say Voyager.
Because the sets are so good, the ship is so good, the characters are sort of interesting, they're a bit sort of plain, but at least the stuff with the Kazon is ridiculous. We can't find water! Don't understand anything, people. And again, we would complain now.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, it was abandoned by episode 2. So they knew it, they had a mistake, they retconned it instantly. Great. You only got one through the filter. TNG is appalling. Apart from the Q stuff, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
DS9 I do not give two shits about, except the first 5 minutes. And Enterprise is fine. But it's just fine. At least the Klingon bit at the end is cool. The Klingon High Council, you really get a Klingon vibe there.
Yeah. But it felt like they were just ripping stuff off from other Trek to...
It's a dull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying the Star Trek Enterprise pilot was also very good.
Well, it's better than TNG and DS9. At least it's a decent enough piece. Now, I will say though, the Discovery pilot is better than the DS9 opening and the TNG opening as an overall piece, because the promise is more. It's just weirdly balanced.
And I find a lot of these series openers, the first 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes really grab my attention, and then it just kind of falls apart. Discovery was the same way. Seeing that little work beak thing clamp onto the satellite and bring the satellite in, and satellite repair, something that Starfleet would be doing. It was awesome. And then it kind of went, we got bigger problems,
Everyone, it's funny, everyone's so different. I like the TNG intro. Enterprise pilot was actually really good. DS9 pilot was great. Enterprise pilot was good. It's all relative. I mean, I can argue why I think DS9 is bad and give you multiple things. I can argue why Enterprise is bad for multiple reasons, but also good. It's all, as long as you can explain why. No one's asked me why, but I can explain why they're all good and bad. Whereas TOS, you think it's only bad things for Corbinite.
It's personal opinion. Really nobody can be wrong, really.
I mean, as a filmmaker, I can argue a lot of the character decisions for things and CG things, and I can argue things, which you could say, I disagree that CG shot is good. So at a certain point, it's like, no, I thought DS9 pilot was outstanding. Oh.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. We're all entitled to our opinions.
I mean, that's the thing.
And you're all entitled to our opinions.
Because we are still just guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an expert in knowing Star Trek visual effects, or an expert in knowing TOS, I would say. we have expertise, but it doesn't mean we're right by everything. We'll just do a review of the pilots. That could be interesting. Just rewatch every pilot and review it. Do the same notes. Things that's long though, because they're 2 episodes each. I don't want to watch 2 episodes of Star Trek that are not very good. Except Corbomite.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's 2 hours and 5 minutes here, so I think we'll call it a wrap. So
He wants to be the last super chat though, guys. It's been a bit quiet today with super chats and supporting the channel. We have done a couple this week, so they've all mounted up, but it's been a lot of hours of talking and reviewing for not a lot of.
And I plan to do some non-Discovery related live this week, perhaps gameplay or something on my own. We do need to catch up though before January 17th, because that's when the series, the second season starts. Speaking of, December 6th is when the next short is, which is Thursday. And that's The Brightest Star about Saru, so we look forward to that one as well. But yeah, we're still gonna be doing Discovery reviews. People have said, somebody commented on the Saladin episode, which annoyed me. It's good to see you guys aren't doing Discovery content again. You're finally doing something else. I'm like, have you even been paying attention? Every Saturday.
He said he wasn't. To be fair, but.
I know. Every Saturday and Wednesday is whatever. We usually touch other stuff. We might do the odd Discovery thing in there if there's a new trailer or whatever. But
we've actively not done Saturday and Wednesday Discovery stuff for a while.
Yeah. Apparently, people don't pay attention before they comment. But Jill Wright throws in another $5. How do we find out when the next Discovery rewatch will take place? Well, we got to talk about that tomorrow, Samuel and myself, and then we'll put it on the Trekyards page. It won't be tomorrow for sure. It could be Tuesday, and definitely not Wednesday. I think Thursday's a good bet, and next Sunday very likely. But just keep an eye on the Trekyards page. That's the best way to do it. We'll make an announcement, and I'll pin it to the top, mark it as an announcement, so you guys can see it.
And it will be great.
Yes.
And a couple of comments. Jamal Taylor, Farpoint gets slammed in hindsight because it looked so raw, but first Trek series in 18 years, it was great. Sure. But everything lives beyond the time it was first released. Yeah. As well. Otherwise, you would think, a black and white first movie was amazing. It's like, it was for the time, but things can also age. That's why when things age so well, it's so impressive. That's why TOS ages so damn well. The stories are so damn good. The acting is so damn good. It ages. Commander, are you saying that DS9 pilot was really bad or the whole series was bad? Nope, DS9 is great. After the Klingons join in, then it actually is very consistent. It's inconsistent season 1-3. It's very consistent 3 onwards. But you should watch it in unison with Voyager, because then you get the science and Trek with one, and the characters and war with the other. They work well in unison. Time to bust a myth. TOS was not low budget. It was one of the most expensive shows on TV at the time. It just wasn't enough for what they're trying to do. Yeah, low budget for now.
It also had award-winning special effects back in the day.
Yeah, so it was a really good-looking show for the time with amazing ship stuff that was not ever done before. And amazing miniatures were really expensive. I mean, the sets were, because they were thought through for the time. In 10 years, anything from any era looks low budget, but it wasn't. Like the first James Bond looks low budget but it wasn't. It was, oh my god, this. You can say all you want, but it wasn't.
So people are taking off to go play Red Dead Redemption and a few other things.
I wish I could. Yeah. Wish I could.
Hey, Captain Commander, will you guys review Star Trek Convergence when it comes out? No, we don't review crap here.
Also, there isn't a Star Trek Convergence. It can't be Star Trek. Convergence, the Star Trek fan film. Stuart, if you want to do an official review...
Nah, probably not. Next.
I think... I'd be interested... I would be bad to review Temporal Anomaly and Convergence, because they wouldn't sort of make sense. But, if you guys want to review it and send me links... Maybe
me and Anti-Trekker and Lore Reloaded and myself should all review it.
Oh, good. The problem is, you can say that was low budget. Because I made that on, $2,000 and 5.5 years. That was low budget. And Convergence, also low budget, just higher budget. And also, we've done a lot less time. So, then all those excuses are low budget. But scripting isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you've always seen Convergence version 1 anyway, Stuart. Oh, speaking of, I'll show you something when we finish the live. The update came in today.
Yeah, we should probably finish the live because.
And we did get our last super chat, so thank you so much, Jill.
Yes, thank you, Jill.
Always makes a massive difference, and hopefully you guys will join in for the non-Discovery lives and support us even more because we sort of rely on these things. It's a big difference. And obviously support on Patreon if you really want. I mean,
yes, all the typical things.
helpful.
Click the links down below. There's to Patreon, to our Trekyards website, to the Eagle Moss. Just click the Eagle Moss link, buy some Eagle Moss stuff, use our discount code. That helps us out as well. Things like that. Just go check the description. There's lots in there.
And a great comment. Budget is no reason to not have good canon. It's like this episode showed you how good budget, still bad story. Highest budget Trek ever, still some shitty stories. TOS, amazing stories. Doesn't age well.
Sometimes you need to cut your budget for things to be good. Look at all the even-numbered Star Trek movies.
Yep.
Just saying. Sometimes a cheaper budget is where it's at. Makes you focus more on story and characters. Anyway, on that note, we're going to get going. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Good night,
and
everyone.
Look forward to the next one. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for when the next one will be.
Almost at the end of the season.
Bye,
Will
guys.
they go to the Mirror Universe or not, Stuart? Will they? We'll find out next week.